Good afternoon. How is everyone doing today? It is currently October the 13th, Sunday, and we are taking a look at the latest tropical outlook, courteous from Tropical Tidbits. This is the latest satellite imagery here, and it kind of paints a picture of what we're going to see within the next 7 days, really, as we have two potential systems that could potentially form into either a tropical depression, a tropical storm, or maybe even a hurricane within the next 7 days. Beginning with our system and our tropical wave that has just come off the coast of Africa a couple days ago. This one has not really looked too impressive lately on satellite imagery, and this is probably the most impressive it's looked in a little bit, but it's going to continue to struggle due to a lot of dry air and Sahara dust coming off the African coast into the main development region. Now, I do think once this system becomes more stout and more organized, which it's likely to do over here once it gets past the Leeward Islands, I think the conditions will be a little more favorable. From there, it's really going to depend on the ridging, the high pressure that's setting up in the central eastern part of the United States, and these trough and cold fronts that's going to be coming down, which are more than likely going to block anything from coming into the United States that develops down here. A couple models are still showing it. The trend was originally that this storm was going to develop into a strong hurricane, potentially come into Florida, potentially come to the United States. That I am seeing is not going to be true anymore. Depending on how the high pressure, depending on how fast these troughs come down, there is a possibility it could squeeze into the southern Gulf of Mexico, maybe coming towards southern Texas, but then again, that's a really long shot. So without further ado, let's dive into the models and let's break this down so y'all can understand what's going on. Starting with 94L, this is the GFS tracks where they think this storm is going to end up and potentially the intensity. And these are a whole bunch of different models. Obviously, you're going to have your mean right here in this black line, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of different type of models basically saying, I think it's going to go this way. We think it's going to go this way, right? At the end of the day, we just don't know. We're still way too far out to tell. But depending long term where this storm ends up, if it decides to take more of a southern track, if it decides to take more of a northern track, that's going to dictate a lot in the strength of this storm and what direction it goes based on the high pressure system that is going to be positioned over the United States and the troughs that are coming down. Likely, like I said, this thing is going to get blocked. That's why a lot of them have it going south. High pressure front's going to come in, keep it suppressed to the south, and probably maybe go into the southern Gulf of Mexico and end up in Mexico. So, like I said, long term, 7 days out, we'll have to keep watch it, but I'll continue to keep you up to date on that. Alrighty, jumping over to the National Hurricane Center's latest advisory, which has just been upgraded of recording this video from a 30% chance within the next 7 days to now a 40% chance of development within the next 7 days. And I think this is going to continue to increase as the tropical system, or tropical wave, I should say, continues moving westward towards the Leeward Islands. As of right now, within the next 48 hours, it's going to continue to be present in a hostile environment due to the dry Sahara dust. It's really going to choke this system off, and really, it's just going to struggle a whole lot until it gets into a more favorable environment, which I think will be either around the Leeward Islands or just to the west of the Leeward Islands. So this is something that we're going to have to watch, and the trend has been shifting ever so slightly to the north, where they think the center of the storm is going to go if it does develop. And most likely, right as of right now, the possibility of this thing hitting Florida is really a 50-50. It's, like I said, going to dictate what this high pressure system, if there's a trough coming down at that time. So we're going to have to wait just a little bit closer to really start nailing down some of those specifics, because some of the models have this thing still going west, some have it going into Florida, and some have it just absolutely curling out here. So we're going to have to wait, see how it goes. We're still watching for the National Hurricane Center to put some type of advisory down here in the Yucatan Peninsula area for this system, which I think they'll do so in the next 24 to 48 hours. If they don't by then obviously I think it's just going to be more of a clustered rain. And so some models still show it developing. The GFS has always kind of been the outlier in this scenario, but a couple different models still do show some weak development and potentially trying to get into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Diving over to the GFS model, which, like I said, has been one of the models that's really been back and forth with the storm. We're going to check out a couple other different models, but beginning with Wednesday, October 16th, you can see down here it's got a low pressure system trying to form about 1,008 millibars, and we put this into motion. And you'll notice up here, high pressure system setting in the central eastern United States. You've got this line down here. This is going to be the cold front, the trough coming down. That's going to keep this thing strung to the south. And originally, like I said, it kept trying to bring this thing up into the Gulf of Mexico, regardless of a high pressure system being there. And, some of the models were just crazy. It was painting crazy pictures, but I think they're starting to be a little bit more realistic now with what's going on. I think the ensemble models are still trying to get a little bit of grasp of what's going on with this high pressure system and potentially potential shear in the Gulf of Mexico. But we play this into motion. You can see it just kind of sits down there. Like I said, you have the stationary boundary right here, and it keeps shutting this out. It keeps trying to push north, but it keeps failing to do so, and becomes a mid-grade hurricane going right into pretty much the southern Yucatan Peninsula down here, impacting people down there, which, like I said, regardless, still wouldn't be a very good situation, especially for them down there. And it just kind of goes into Mexico and fizzles off. And then if we go back here in time, right, this is going to be Thursday. Here's our wave that's coming towards Leeward Islands, like we saw in the models, the one the National Hurricane Center put the outlook for here. And this latest track has it going just to the north of Puerto Rico and then pretty much dipping back down. This, like I said, you have this huge cold front, this huge trough, keeps it suppressed to the south and just kind of dances around here. Tries to come back up again, goes back through the DR, just doing some crazy dances. High pressure expands, pushes it back to the east. So, you know, like at the end of the day, guys, like when we get to this time of year, it's very hard to get storms entering the United States, let alone Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi. Just the fact that you've had a lot of ridges, you're going to have cold front troughs coming down, like in this scenario. If these troughs weren't here and these cold fronts were here, I think the storm would still struggle just due to the amount of shear and dry air that's currently present in the Gulf of Mexico right now. But it's one of those things where we're gonna have to watch, we're gonna have to wait, and we're gonna have to see what happens. But let's go ahead and jump over and check out some of the other models and kind of see what they're trending and what they're showing. Jumping over to the Icon model now, this one definitely shows a good representation too, as of what I'm talking about when it comes to that trough and that high pressure system in the United States. And as we put this into motion, you'll notice down here the Icon model really doesn't have too much forming, really just a weak upper level low by Wednesday. Y'all can see down here really not too much going on, and we put it into motion and you see the system over here coming towards the Leeward Islands, dips down, does some funny stuff, comes to Jamaica. So this one's going to be interesting to watch, but y'all can see if we put this back in time again. All right, see the high pressure system up here, you'll see it kind of just pulls down and keep everything shunned to the south here. Ready? Boom. See, kind of like it's almost like a wave, right? Just a giant wave on the water. Kind of think of it like a wave, a piece of energy coming down, and it just shuts everything off from entering the United States. So like I said, I think that's going to be our saving grace. But as of right now, a lot of the GFS has definitely been more bullish on this. Out of all the models, the GFS has been the outlier with this specific storm, as usually it is on a lot of the storms, which this year it's been pretty accurate. The GEFS models has actually been pretty accurate, which let's go ahead. We're going to jump over right now and take a look at those models. Diving over to the GEFS model ensembles, this is going to kind of show us a whole bunch of different computer models of what they think is going to happen with the storm. Where do they think it's going to go into potentially how strong it is going to be? This is the latest model run, 12Z, October 13th, and this is currently sitting on 0Z Thursday, and you can already see some of the models just firing up down here, trying to get something going. This is the latest run, which the past couple runs has had this a little bit more aggressive as far as ending in the Gulf of Mexico and being a lot stronger, but you can see a lot. It's starting to come to reality now. It's starting to come to fruition. It's starting to realize, like, hey, there's a high pressure up here, there's a cold front, there's a trough over here. I can't go this way, so I got to follow physics and go this way, right? You know, that's generally how it works. You know, across the Yucatan. So like I said, some get in the Gulf of Mexico. You've got a couple ones that try to swing around. And then you have this over here, right? So let's go back. Let's back it up here. All right. So remember the one coming off the coast of Africa. Here it is. Here's the piece of energy. Here's a whole bunch of different models trying to form a low pressure system. Some take it out this way. Some take it directly over Puerto Rico as a weak tropical disturbance. And then they all kind of just fizzle off. But you got this one strangler over here that way down here that tries to form up into something strong and then starts pushing directly towards the Gulf of Mexico, and then just, boom, tries to come right towards Florida and then go back out. I mean, just it's absolutely nonsense. Like it really is, like, you know, we can't look at that and say that's exactly what's going to happen. It's funny to look at the models and just think, you know, like, you know, what if that actually happened? But then again, it can't happen because there's like a big high pressure right here at that time. So it's like, that doesn't make any sense. You know, the GEFS model was originally pushing these storms into the Gulf of Mexico up into like the panhandle of Florida, regardless of a high pressure system being in place here. It's like, come on, like, doesn't make any sense. But without further ado, these are the models. These are the picture they're kind of painting. And let's jump over to the WPC and kind of show y'all just the general weather layout and what I'm talking about when it comes to these high pressure systems and these cold fronts. Alrighty, taking a look at the United States of America. kind of a weather analytic map that kind of shows us the high pressure systems, where the cold fronts are, low pressure systems, things like that. This is currently day 3, Wednesday, October 16th. You can see big high pressure system sitting over the central US. You've got a stationary boundary down here, cold front coming down, and we put this into motion, and you can see it just kind of expands, sticks around there. This is Thursday. This is Friday. You know, high pressure. You've got this trough down here, and it's anything that, like I said, here's the Yucatan Peninsula down here. Anything that forms down here is really just going to get whoosh. So it's only got 2 options at this point, right? It's either going to get shunned to the south and go this way, or it's somehow going to slip past and go this way. You know, the only possible way at this point for this thing to even, like, there really is no possible way at this point for this thing to come to Florida. At least this one down here. Like, that's just completely off the table now. It's totally false. There's no chance. Like I said, the one coming off the coast of Africa, we're still 7 days out. We're going to kind of have to see how the models handle the situation with the high pressure system, see if the placement of this changes, see if the strength of it changes, see if the timing of these cold fronts coming down changes, because all that makes a big difference in what's going to happen with these tropical systems. Like, this time of the year is very sensitive when it comes to tropical systems. Like, there's just a lot of variables in place when it comes to try to predict these storms, and it's very, very hard to put a number on it, especially being this far out. But that's going to conclude it for today's video, guys. I appreciate y'all watching. If you like the video, definitely like it. If you have any comments, concerns, definitely let me know down below, and I will get to them as soon as possible. Y'all have a fantastic rest of y'all's weekend, and I'll be back with y'all with another update as soon as I can.